Going into the NFL draft, the consensus was pretty clear. Cam Ward is going number 1 overall, and the next best quarterback in the class is Shedeur Sanders. All the so-called experts weighed in with their opinions, many having Sanders in the mid to late first round, with some being so bold as to having him slip to the second round. So, how did we get here? What did all the experts miss about this player that caused him to slip from a probable first round pick to a prospect that had to wait until the third day in the 5th round to hear their name?
And everybody's trying to figure out exactly how this can be.
It's an accident that no owner in the National Football League wanted to touch him. We can use the word collusion. It ain't necessary. They think alike in a lot of different situations.
I think it's disgusting. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this. 5th player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the 4th round at quarterback. That's sitting there in round 4 with other quarterbacks being taken who aren't as good as Shedeur, aren't even close, in my opinion.
I will say, I believe Colorado shocked even their biggest haters with their bounce-back season this past year. The Buffaloes turning a 4-8 2023 campaign into a 9-4 record in 2024 is extremely commendable and deserves praise. However, with Deion Sanders at the helm and Travis Hunter on the team, they received considerably more attention than a team with a 9-4 record in the Big 12 warrants. This led to the team being generally overrated in the media, and Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders being extremely hyped coming into the draft. The hype for Hunter was well-deserved. In this day and age, being able to play both wide receiver and defensive back at an extremely elite college level is rare and deserving of the 2nd overall pick. Sanders' hype, on the other hand, is a totally different story. Scouts were concerned that he held onto the ball too long, as he took the most sacks in college football this past year. This, coupled with his limited mobility, could spell disaster when facing an NFL defense. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt, as even he implied he had a poor offensive line. Even Shedeur haters must admit to themselves, he put up some pretty nice numbers this past season. He led all of college football in completion percentage, was 4th in passing yards, and 2nd in passing touchdowns. Statistics good enough to win the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award as well as the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year Award. However, it has to be remembered that his dad was the coach, and his top wide receiver was the Heisman and Biletnikoff winner in a conference not exactly known for its outstanding defense. Obviously, these factors are outside the realm of Shedeur's control, so it's a little tough to just sit here and rip on him for who he has as a coach and teammate. But it's still worth mentioning. He played in an offense directly suited and built for him, which meant they called passing plays at an absurdly high frequency. And in blowouts, they still targeted their best collegiate wide receiver in the end zone, which ran up the score and padded some stats. Again, this is play calling, not Shedeur's fault in the slightest, as any quarterback would probably love to bomb it down the field. But these are things that scouts see, and aren't exactly shown in his overinflated stats. Another question mark for NFL teams was his frame. Sanders is a slender 6'2", and could get in trouble in the NFL if he takes too many hits. But personally, I think this is pretty stupid. 6'2" is, I guess, a little below NFL average, but nothing to really complain about, and the NFL is known for beefing up quarterbacks very quickly when it's needed. So dumb in my opinion, but I can see a team or two being turned off by it. When we look at the 5 quarterbacks drafted before Shedeur Sanders, I think a lot of people would agree that he is a better on-field prospect than most of them. However, it's off-the-field issues where I believe Shedeur ran into the most trouble.
We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything possible, everything possible. I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. All this is of course, fuel to the fire. And under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we're on the bigger and better things. Tomorrow's the day. We're going to be happy regardless.
I know this video is meant to come across as humble and adding a little chip to his shoulder, but it's pretty hard to look humble when you're wearing the biggest chain I have ever seen in my entire life, and saying under no circumstance we all know this should not have happened. Kind of negates the whole point he's trying to make. I believe attitude and character concerns are the main reason we saw Shedeur fall in this draft. I want to quickly take you back to this quote from Sanders after they lost to Nebraska this past year. The quarterback is supposed to be the leader of the team. This means taking blame and accountability for failures even if they weren't even fully your fault. While I'm sure the offensive line deserved a good portion of the blame for all the sacks Shedeur took, it's on the quarterback to shoulder the blame himself, as most of the greats do. Throwing the people whose sole job in the sport is to protect you under the bus is a pretty bold strategy, and could have played a role in them continuing to protect you poorly.
Attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
The big kicker that really seemed to have hurt Shedeur were his team interviews with NFL organizations. There were reports that he essentially sandbagged teams he was not interested in going to, and didn't give it his all in those interviews. Here's what one assistant coach had to say. "It was the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is, he's not that good." I think this really sums it up. Arrogance can look like confidence when it's on someone who can truly back it up. And while Shedeur is a great prospect, he isn't the generational prospect he thinks he is, because no team would let a generational prospect slip to the 5th round. This should really serve as a cautionary tale to future NFL prospects who come into the process already believing they're bigger than the league, because those teams will quickly humble you. I think this is the kick in the ass Shedeur Sanders needed. He more or less still ended up on a team people expected him to, just a little later than anticipated. And now he'll get to go up against Dillon Gabriel to see just how he measures and prove that the league was really overlooking him. I'd like to leave this video just looking at this tweet by Deion Sanders from 7 years ago. I know that's a lifetime in football, but really, is anything different with the Browns today? I think it's pretty beautiful how all of this unfolded, and I'm excited to see where it plays out from here. If Shedeur is somehow able to turn around the Browns' fortunes, this could go down as one of the greatest stories in football history.